Okay, this is Vision 2, little smaller font. I think what I might do is get another laptop and I can put the laptop to this big screen and I should be able to do that. I could use a little bit of help on your expertise of how to show things on your laptop. This is Vision 2 out of 7 visions. Okay, in this vision I was already in, just getting off the ferry in Victoria. As the Spirit of the Lord came in for a second time, the force of it pushed me yet into another vision. I literally rolled over. And like I was saying, I couldn't blink. I couldn't move my muscles. I was totally catatonic. I could see. That's all I could do. I could see. I could hear. I had, God had my uh, natural senses, my body and all that frozen. And turning over my left side, I could see myself leaving the ferry terminal. This is in Victoria. There was a quickness in my walk. I remember when I left the ferry terminal. I remember going through customs in Victoria. And the ferry terminal was right in the heart of the city because the water comes in. And I remember having a passport, and they just pushed me through. There wasn't any problem. I was like a bad apple. They didn't want nothing to do with me. They just pushed me through. And the last 3 times that I tried to get into the States, they denied me access, the buggers. So they thought I was going there to live. And I did get caught there back in 88, 89. I stayed in Banks for about a year and a half, and the federales came knocking at the door, and I ended up in jail in I forget that county. It was the biggest county in Texas. But I knew in the spirit that something about 24 hours. And anyway, I was held in custody, uh, and 24 hours passed, and the arresting officer came and it says, "You're free." I got a call from the district attorney somehow, some way, and he said, "Let the guy go." And this never happens. That's definitely God's intervention, and lots of stories like that. And anyway, it's caused me a lot of problems over the years trying to get back into the states. I got no intentions of living in the states until God puts me there, and He's going to bring me back in the states to help build these places of refuge. And it could be after these places of refuge are going to be needed uh, just as much before and after Niberu passes, because there's going to be a lot of reconstruction that's going to be needed, but not in the cities. Okay, after what seemed to be 5 minutes or so, I remember entering the front doors of a newspaper office in the downtown part of the city. And the last time I was in Victoria, I tried to look for this newspaper office, and I couldn't find it. Anyway, I remember to the right of the counter in front of me, I saw this wall clock, and it was 8:25, 25 minutes past 8 in the morning. And the office staff seemed to be half asleep, as if they just returned after having the weekend off. You know how it is when you come back to work and on a Monday morning you just waking up, and it takes a little while to get things off the ground. It was like that. And I remember I walked in and I saw the front part of the office. There's a back part of the office where there's two other uh, women working in the back, and the office in the front. There was a counter. I came and I stood at the counter. I seen the clock goes up on my right hand side. I saw a window on my left and a rubber tree, and I could hear a bird singing outside. Anyway, two of the three of the staff still had cups of coffee in their hands. Everything was very clear, very crisp in this vision. And it wasn't that I was seeing this. I was there. God literally took me into the future. Not my physical body, but he took my soul. And in the spirit realm, uh, we're not bound by space and time. Standing to the left side of the front counter with my back to the street entrance, and this was this media office was on a corner, street level. I remember being dressed in black with a large staff in my right hand, and in the spirit I could perceive them mocking me. I knew in the heart that they were uh, joking at my outfit, right? But it's likely that they knew me, that I was known to the media somehow, some way, and and God had me to speak forth to give them a warning to evacuate the west side of Vancouver Island. That's why I went there. And an earthquake measuring approximately 7.4 would hit 20 miles west of Victoria, causing a 6-foot tidal wave to come inland. You know, they just found this earth fault just a few years ago, that there is a major earth fault 20 miles west of Vancouver Island of Victoria. And the Lord gave me this back in 1988 in February. Anyway, I said that God's mercy would be in this 7.4 quake, and that minimal damage would occur. Okay, that minimal damage would occur if the news media would warn the public to take the necessary precautions. And the Lord uh, had me to make it very clear, and like I remember emphasizing this to them, that this particular earthquake was a final warning, and that the next quake would destroy all life along the west coast of North America. And this is when I saw the fear on the faces of the women. It was so great that they didn't get this warning note. They were just paralyzed. Later that afternoon, I found myself back in the same office. It was around 2:30 in the afternoon. Standing there in silence, I simply waited for the hand of God to move. And remember, I wrote this out 5 years after all this has happened. I found myself standing back in the same office, standing there in silence. I simply waited for the hand of God to move. It was a few minutes before 2:30 when I glanced up at the wall clock, and suddenly everything became quiet and deathly still. I never experienced this in my life. I've heard that other people have had these kind of experiences where an earthquake's going to strike or something's going to strike, that there's a deadly calm that comes first. Even the birds stopped singing, sensing what was about to happen. Then a few minutes passed, and within moments, the silence was broken when every phone in the office began to ring off the hook. I remember it. I remember it as if it was yesterday. A 6-foot tidal wave had been sighted heading eastward toward the city, resulting from a 7.4 earthquake 20 miles out in the Pacific. It was not until recently that I realized that severe damage must have occurred by knocking out transportation on the west side of the island. And when that, uh, and in the spirit, I actually saw the earthquake. I saw this tidal wave, and it was like a bunch of 6-foot waves, but they were ripples. You know, they went bang, 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 bang like that. It wasn't just one big tidal wave. There's a series of them, and I just smashed everything. Nothing was left. every ship on the west coast and Tofino all the way along the west coast, west of Victoria, all gone. That's probably why when the evacuation, mandatory evacuation was given to the people on Vancouver Island, that they had to that the port of evacuation was Nanaimo, and like in the third vision, I remember somehow I got from Victoria to Nanaimo, which is about Nanaimo's about the center part of the island, and Victoria is on the most southern part, and it's a good couple-hour drive. There's about 40 stoplights that you have to go through, but anyway, I remember in the third vision I was at Departure Bay, and this is when things started getting pretty crazy. Things that I began to see, and I remember, and I was up in the spirit, and I was overlooking, and I was high above the Departure Bay terminal, and I can remember looking toward Victoria, toward the south side of Nanaimo. And right now they got, yeah, that's right. I remember looking, and I seen about 6 lanes of vehicles all coming. And normally you got 3 lanes this way, and you got 3 lanes going this way. 3 lanes boarding, and 3 lanes unboarding, right? And in the vision, I saw 5 or 6 lanes waiting to board. And at the time, in 1988, they still have the old highway. They hadn't done an upgrade on the entrance into the ferry. Now you do have this 5 or 6 lanes coming in. At the time, you didn't. There's only maybe 2 or 3 lanes. I remember looking, and I saw that the traffic was backed up way to the south end. We're talking 2 or 3 miles of traffic, 6 lanes, waiting to board Victoria, to board the ferry from Nanaimo on Vancouver Island to Vancouver. And the funny thing is, no one fought it. No one put up a fuss. Everybody listened. And there wasn't one single person that desired to stay on that island. So whatever it was that was creating this fear, it was very dramatic. And it was to the point where everybody became a believer and everybody wanted to get off the island. And you didn't have to persuade anybody. But I was calm as it could be in the visions. And I tell you, it was so real to life that all your spiritual senses were functioning. You knew you're in a place of state of knowing all things happening around you. People's intentions, thoughts, places, things. You just knew everything. And at the same time, all your natural senses are working. Both the natural, merging of both the natural and spiritual senses. Okay, I think this is gonna be it for tonight. Tomorrow I'll do the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th vision. And this is, God has a reason for getting this out. This is Joshua Taylor coming to you from here in Edmonton, Canada. And there is hope. God does have a plan for the evacuation of the west coast of California, Oregon, Washington, and Canada. He's not going to leave the people there perish. And it's God's mercy that he gets a warning out early, because the government's not going to do it. The government doesn't care about you. The government wants you dead. They're not going to give you a golden ticket to the underground bases. And they're going to pay for it. And God's got their number. This is Joshua Taylor coming to you from here in Edmonton, Alberta.